Hello and welcome to the Only Women Entrepreneurs podcast, also known as O. I'm your host, Rosemary Cescolini, a former high school English teacher who ditched the classroom due to political misalignment with the government of the day. Not really knowing what else I could do career-wise, my father-in-law, Floriano Cescolini, offered me an incredible manufacturing opportunity to come and work in the family-owned and operated business at Royal Door Limited, which was established in 1975. There, with Floriano's patience and expertise, he personally taught me how to become a master wood artisan, where I learned how to create custom handmade interior and exterior wood doors for thousands of people nationwide, including politicians, celebrities, and professional athletes alike. Our products are featured in HGTV real estate and home renovation shows like Love It or List It, on Netflix series such as The Green Door, and in retail stores across the country. I had the privilege of working with top-notch designers such as Brian Gluckstein and Deborah Salmoni. After 30 years of revolutionizing the manufacturing industry and a wonderfully successful career, I decided to open a new chapter in my life, and that is running O. It's an organization built from the ground up to empower young women as they explore the business world and alternative careers. Here you'll learn about incredibly successful women and discover the invaluable insights and wisdom they have to offer. In addition, we offer personalized consultation services to help women find their paths towards an alternative career or entrepreneurship. Our services also include collaboration with construction and manufacturing companies to assist them with gaining, training, and retaining a dedicated, motivated workforce in these industries. After tuning in to this episode, make sure you send me a message on Instagram to book your free consultation. Let's get started on a new career as soon as possible. So today I am really excited because we have a special guest and we're so fortunate to host a rising young star in the skilled trades. Honestly, I personally feel inspired and hopeful for the future when I hear them speak and see what they're accomplishing in their daily lives. Situated in the greater Sudbury area, which is the largest city in the population in Northern Ontario, Jessica Duquette is carving out an impressive career as an industrial millwright at Vale Canada Limited, a global company that practices sustainable mining as well as focus on improving life and transforming our lives for the better. Jessica is a strong advocate for blue-collar jobs, where she is the ambassador for KICKASS CAREERS, where they encourage youth, female and male, to consider a lifelong career in the skilled trades. I'm so pumped about this interview, and I'd like to get started right away. So welcome, Jessica Duquette, to the Only Women Entrepreneurs podcast. It's great to have you here, considering how vital your skills are to your employer. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited to help share my journey, my story, and give any sort of advice that I can give to help our future generation.
That's fantastic. So I think a good place to start is just by telling our listeners what a millwright does in general.
Absolutely. So what an industrial millwright is, underground, let's start underground. So what we do is we take care of basically how the mine runs. So we make sure that the mines don't flood. So we have all sorts of pumps underground. We maintain the crushers so we can crush our ore down to a certain size that we need to deliver it out from underground. We take care of even the rock crushers, conveyor belts, all sorts of different types of conveyors. So with Vale, we also have surface plants. So we have like mills and smelters and nickel refinery as well. And on those surface plants, basically same thing. We maintain everything there. But it goes down to like technicalities. So like we need to know like specific details. So everything I touch basically has like a very tight tolerance. So for example, when we line up motors to pumps, we have a tolerance of like 0.02 of an inch to make sure that it's lined up so our equipment lasts us a while, so it's not constantly breaking down. We do a lot of that. We help plan jobs as well. to make sure everybody fully understands what we have to do. I do a lot of rigging and hoisting as well. So that's also like a skill that millwrights need to have.
What's involved in those two roles?
So, for example, at the nickel refinery, that's where I currently work. So we have equipment that's actually 5 floors tall. So in order to work on, say, like the bottom floor, sometimes we have to remove flooring and take apart like pieces of the equipment so we
Right.
can get to the bottom of it. While we're rigging, though, there's a lot that goes into it. We need to make sure that like our slings are rated appropriately for our loads, even like included angles of our slings. Because the more of an angle you have, the less you actually lose your load weight. Like your slings are rated for a specific amount of weight, and at a certain angle, your load weight ends up getting lowered, so it's not actually rated for what it says on the slings. It's just knowing where like center of gravity is, so when you do lift up your load, it's not all tilted and swinging. That's another thing. Like if you lose control of your load, say you like make a hard stop with your crane and it starts swinging, they teach you how to capture your load, which are all skills that come in very handy, especially if you're working in between floors. So it's a good skill that we have to have a lot, because even underground, we take care of the cages as well, the cage and the skips. That too, like we need to make sure we rig those properly, because like obviously we don't want to hurt anybody around us or damage the equipment. So it's a lot of we have to pay a lot of attention to that as well. Millwrights, like I said, like we also do, like we lay pipe as well. So every time we need like a new water line installed, we have to measure, make sure we have the right type of pipe, make sure it's rated with the proper pressure that's going through the lines. We also need to understand that if you put two different types of metals together, for example, if you have like just mild steel flanges like on your pipes and you put in stainless steel bolts, you got to understand that that's going to make a chemical reaction with time, and it'll seize your bolts together. So there's a lot that actually goes into it. But like I said, so I've been in this field for roughly 5 years now, and I'm not done learning. There is so much to it, so much to remember, so much technicalities. Everything's super precise. So we just make sure like all of our plants run efficiently, and we maintain them, and we make sure everything's done safely as well.
That's a tremendous amount of responsibility you have, and everything's underground, correct?
Some of it is. So yeah, we are underground, but I'm at a surface plant. I'm at the nickel refinery. So that's where we make like our 99% nickel.
For our audience that is unaware of the mining industry, what's the purpose of the mining of the nickel? What do we use it for, to produce what type of products?
So Vale just signed a contract with Tesla. So we actually refine our nickel to a certain percentage, and they use our nickel to make like batteries or parts that they need, because we have such a high grade ore in Sudbury. I'm not sure exactly what our customers use the nickels for, but I do know that they want it in different types, like different forms. So we create pellet balls, or nickel balls. We create nickel pellets, and we also have nickel in powder form. And back in the day, we actually used to make nickel foam, and that we don't do that anymore, but I did find a little piece, an old piece left around the plant, and it's actually nickel foam.
I've never heard of that, and I'm really curious. I wonder what they use that for.
I
Any
know, eh?
ideas? You don't
I
know.
have no idea.
Okay. All
We
right. So there's
didn't
lots
learn.
of uses for nickel. It really depends on the client. In the case of Tesla, like you mentioned, they use it for their batteries or some other components for the car. So I'm assuming that other automobile manufacturers probably use nickel for other specs on their cars as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, there's appliances, our computers, our cell
Yes.
phones. There's so many aspects of technology that we are using right now, like the probably Elon Musk uses it with his SpaceX to send his rockets to space. So it's an incredible amount of usages that we have for the nickel, and it shows that your role is quite important, quite crucial. And at any day, though, do you feel that your job is dangerous or it's safe? And the reason why I'm making this comment is I was reading some statistics regarding women in mining. A lot of the women leave after 5 years because they feel it's unsafe. And then the other point, which we'll talk later, is they feel that there's no career advancement in the ranks. So let's talk about safety. Do you feel when you go to work every day that you're putting your life at risk, or all the protocols of safety are taken into account and you're okay there?
So definitely in the environments that we work in, absolutely they are dangerous, but we have so many safety factors put into place to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that it's safe. Um, we have so many rules and regulations. Like, for example, if you're going underground, um, typically pedestrians get the right of way. Absolutely not underground. It's the machinery gets the right of way
Mm-hmm.
because the machinery is the size of the tunnels, it's the size of the drifts. And you have your buckets in front of you, and you can't see clearly. Everything's dark, there's barely any lighting. So there's a lot of rules put into place to protect us as workers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even if it comes to chemicals or dust particulates. So, for example, I wear respirators when I work.
Okay.
Um, so I have like an organic vapor respirator cartridge, also a dust particulate cartridge, two in one in my respirator, because I do work around sulfur dioxide, SO2 gas.
Mm-hmm.
But those respirators will protect you from that. So at the nickel refinery, everything is super, super fine. Our feed is very, very fine. So it turns into dust and it floats everywhere, right? That's why we have our respirators put into place. We do air quality monitoring as well to make sure that just to see the levels exactly and exactly what's floating in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also have like our DB blockers. So they're just earplugs, just they're molded to your ear. So it
Mm-hmm.
fits perfectly in your
Okay.
ear. Um, if there is a job that we do that's dangerous and we don't feel comfortable doing it, we will have a meeting about it to assess the whole situation and how we can properly do this job safely, efficiently, nobody gets hurt. And then everybody will agree on this idea. And once everybody agrees, then we move forward with that. Um, there's a lot of times where we have to cancel jobs just to think of a different way to do it, because we add stuff like all the time. Like, we'll add pipe work in front of pumps, or that's just an example. So now the next time we go do the job, it's not the same simple task as what it
Mm-hmm.
was because we added all this pipe in the way. So therefore, that's where like our rigging would come in handy. We can use like the crane to lift it out of place instead of just pulling it out like we would normally do. And even that, like, we that comes with permits as well. Everything comes with training. Nobody's just thrown in just like that. You get proper training. They make you aware of everything that's in the plant, like any acids or chemicals or gases. We have training for this. So I'm not scared to go to work because I know that there's procedures put into place. Always ask questions. Never ever be scared to ask questions. No question is a stupid question.
Is there health and safety on site that is part of the company? And what they do is they look at all the work environment, and then they put in the safety and health protocols, so and then you got to follow them? Or do they use an outside company that comes in and figures that all out?
So funny you mentioned that. I'm actually part of the OSHA safety committee at work. So I am joint health and safety committee at work.
That's another role.
It's through our union. We have our union, and it's with them that we work with them, and then we work with management to, like, if we have a concern, I will bring it up in our meetings. We will discuss, see if we can have like a solution or if there's different ways of doing it. If not, that's when we'll show this to management, and then we have a discussion with them as well to come to a conclusion on how to do something safely. Because like in our meetings, everybody has something to say, and we can put all of these ideas together to create the solution that we were looking for. So yes, we do have health and safety on site. We have a few reps as well on site. So it's not just me. Okay. I represent like the maintenance side, mechanical side of it, but then you have like electrician side, you have the operator side. So it's all different departments within the plant that we put all of our brains together, and then we make sense of it all as one.
It sounds really good. I'm glad you broke down the steps and you kind of like dispelled some of the myths that mining is incredibly dangerous. I think anything is dangerous, even in our line of work, manufacturing, where you're dealing with machines. If you take all the safety protocol, and like you said, if you don't follow the rules that's set out by your company and by your H&S department, accidents happen. But those accidents are because individual responsibility wasn't there. Right? If they don't follow the protocol and they get hurt, and then I'm sure it's investigated, and then they go through all the steps. Would you do this, and then if they didn't do step 3, and that's the reason why there was an injury or an accident.
Absolutely.
So that's great that you even said that you feel safe, that you don't have a problem. So you see yourself having a lifelong career in mining, or are you going to just do it for a bit and then decide to pivot and do something else?
I truly do enjoy being on the tools. So I do think I'm going to stay on the tools for as long as I can anyway, because there is room for improvement in my company. So I do still need the experience as a mechanic. So right now, I think I'm going to stay on the tools for a long time.
And millwright's an interesting career, because like here you're specifically servicing the tools and the machinery in the mining industry. But a millwright can also be in other sites. For example, manufacturing, we make doors. We have tons of machines that require a millwright to service them because parts break down. Like we have cutters that are interchangeable and they get dull and they got to be replaced, or sometimes cutters with a lot of wear and tear, they break, or you see them fractured, so you have to replace them, and just general maintenance. But we can't find any. And what's incredible is our machines come from Europe. And we contact the manufacturer, and what they do is they send a millwright technician to Canada, and they actually source what the issue is. Then they go back they order the equipment or the parts, and sometimes they don't have them and they have to make them. And that is a task that can take 6 months to 18 months. We can't afford that kind of downtime. Like machines, okay, if they're down for 1 or 2 hours, it's okay. But if they're down for months, it'd be catastrophic. So we do order a lot of extra parts. And some of the people that work for us understand how to replace them, and we don't have to always go to a technician out of country. But that would be actually a very good opportunity for anybody listening that maybe they don't want to go in the mines. That millwrights are also, there's a lot of positions like in manufacturing, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I know, like as well. Millwrights, like we can work for the city as well because we have like our sewer systems that also have pumps, right? So, we need people to maintain all of the systems as well for the city. There's also such thing as construction millwrights. So it's same thing, but more in the construction field. And that would be like make sure like you'd be using like theodolites to make sure like everything's level before you start building, right? But there is different companies, different there you can be a millwright you can go anywhere, honestly, even out of town, for a new company. Say they're just starting to build their new business, their new structure, their first warehouse or whatever it is. We need millwrights to go and build the plant up from scratch. So we also do like layouts when it comes to building cement bases or concrete bases to put the pumps on. So like there's stuff like that as well. And yeah, like you said, even manufacturing car parts. I have a coworker who used to work in that field. They used to work for Toyota. And yeah, you need millwrights there to fix those machines that are building your cars. And there's lots of places where a millwright can work. It's just true. To find those people, right?
Exactly. And that's why we're having the conversation today, though. Thank you for providing all those great examples. Because my head is just spinning with the infinite possibilities as we're moving towards automation. There are going to be more machine parts that are going to break, and we need people like you that are able to service them, not only build them but also service them. So there's incredible opportunities, it sounds like. So now I'm curious to know, like, when you were in your senior year of high school, like, were you looking to go into the trades? Can you maybe talk us through the journey of how you ended up in your current position? Because that is a unique career choice.
Absolutely. So because I grew up in Sudbury, which Sudbury is known for mining, we are a mining city.
Sure
so
is.
My dad and my grandpa, like they all worked in the mines, and they would always come home, tell me stories like, oh, I did this at work today. I got to witness this. And it did fascinate me. So as a young girl, I knew that I wanted to work in the mining industry, but I didn't know as what yet. So I even dressed up as a miner for Halloween once. But in my senior year, I actually ended up doing a co-op. I did a co-op with Canadian Tire in their parts department. So I was thinking more towards mechanic, right? But then after doing my placement, I realized that I don't want to be like an automotive mechanic because to me, it was a lot of repetition, tire rotations, oil change light bulbs. I knew I was going to get bored very quickly, and I knew I wasn't going to be happy for too long. So as I was looking through my options for college, I saw Industrial Millwright mechanic, and I looked into it, Jack or Jill of all trades. And it caught my attention. It's just the variety of work that you can do and the amount of places where I can go. So, for example, if I would have chose to be like a heavy duty mechanic, like a diesel mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
underground in the mining industry, I would only be, I would be mainly underground and that's it. Where as a millwright mechanic, you can go underground, you can go surface, um, because like for example, on a surface plant, we don't have scoops. That's all underground. So that would be HD mechanic underground. I wanted to have the option to travel if I wanted to. I want to have the options to go underground to a surface plant, any surface plant. Like I said, the mill, smelter, nickel
Mm-hmm.
refinery. You know, we have options, and I know I chose the right career because I can go honestly about a month without doing the same job twice.
I love that
It's
variety, and
oh
and
yes,
that's the attraction. Even for me as a woodworker, like I was excited to get up in the morning because I didn't know what I was going to build.
exactly.
Right? It was everything was a unique creation. So I never got bored. Like I still think about, designs and then when you go places you say, "Oh, you know what, you look at the structural part, oh, they could have built this a little better." And you just start discussing it. So I really, really can relate to what you're saying. That is incredible.
Absolutely. I'm always happy, right? You go
Yeah.
into work and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what am I gonna do
Yeah.
today?
And that's what people are missing in just jobs. Like, for example, they're stuck at the office, and you're doing the same thing every day. I gotta punch in information on the computer. I have a few phone calls. I have lunch. So it's a daily grind. That's a routine, and then. Okay, maybe at the beginning you might be excited. You might have a great job opportunity, pays you well. But I'm going to guarantee probably within 2 years, you're going to be bored out of your mind and you're going to say, oh man, I don't think I can do this for 30, 40 years.
Exactly. It's a whole mental health thing as well. You know, if you're not happy at work, then you're not putting in your 100%. You know, you're dragging yourself, and that's not what we want, right? We want
No,
you need to pick a career where you will be happy and
for sure.
stay happy.
Exactly. And you know what? It also increases productivity. When someone's happy and they're proud of their job, the day goes by quickly, everybody's in a cheery mood. And then you see an end result. And that's really good to see because people that are working in the offices, you know what? We do need them. We need everybody in society. There's no
Mhm.
doubt in that. But when you see something produce, like going back to the car example with Tesla, and you know that whatever was mined in Sudbury, and every time you see a Tesla, you know what? I was part of that. And that is such an incredible feeling of accomplishment. And like I said,
Absolutely.
I get goosebumps when I see things. Like I'll go to a hotel like out of country and then I'll see my product there and I go, wow, I didn't know it made it down here. Or we're watching a television show and I go, that's ours, right? And it's just incredible feeling of excitement and thrill and knowing that I contributed to make a better society. Someone's using stuff that we made. And
Absolutely.
that's a great thing that you shared. So one point I want to bring up is when I started working in our family company, right? I didn't work in the office. I started in the back with production because my father-in-law thought this was the best place to start because you need to know and understand how the product's made. Because if you wanted to make that transition to the office and sales and marketing where I ended up, if you don't understand the product, then you're not going to be able to sell it with a lot of credibility. But when I did start, this is 30 years plus, it was just a guy's world. And I did not feel very comfortable. Like I was the only woman there. And it was like incredible pressure because I was learning and everybody's looking at you and you didn't want to make mistakes, but mistakes, that's where you learn.
Absolutely.
For the first 6 months or so, I was under incredible pressure to learn and produce because I didn't have another woman in the shop to kind of like say, hey, you're doing a good job. Like the guys were quiet. They didn't really say much. They just watched and observed. So now I would like to ask you a similar question. Like, did you have those type of feelings that you didn't belong in the mining industry when you first started your career? And how did you handle that?
Oh, absolutely. I did feel like that. And even still to this day, I feel like that sometimes. Um, but one thing you have to remind yourself that you are here to learn. No matter where you go, no matter what industry you choose to work in, you will always have somebody that doesn't like you. You can't please everybody, and you have to constantly remind yourself of that.
Mm.
Um, so yes, being in a male dominated industry, I do feel small sometimes because, like, right now, I'm the only female mechanic at the whole plant. I don't have another
How
woman
many
to go and
people?
talk to.
How many people work there? Do you know offhand, like 20, 30 people, like that you can
No,
see?
like 100, maybe more. Like it's a pretty big plant, and there's a lot of rotations because like we run 24/7, right?
Okay, so you still
So
have those feelings that you don't belong,
absolutely.
right? And especially that you're still learning. You're
Hmm.
considered more of an apprentice than an accomplished millwright. So you've got that pressure that I had. It'll get easier though. That's a
Yeah.
good thing.
But one thing that I did learn is that if you have like the drive to learn, the
Hmm.
drive to work, and if you're nice about it, don't start piping up. That's what they don't like. So I learned that if you have those drives, you will have a way, way better chance of getting partners that respect you
Hmm.
and will take the time to teach you. So how I work is, so if I'm doing a new job for the first time ever, I've never done this before, I typically like to watch it the first time. I want to see how the job gets done because one, I don't know of the hazards. I don't know about the pinch points. They have a specific way of doing a job, right? So I like to stand back the first time and see and learn how the job gets done. And I ask questions. That's what I do. I ask question after question after question, even the technical questions, like what happens if you do this, if you shut this, and they explain as we go. And then the second time when I go to do this job, then I'm like, okay, I'm on the tools. I want to do this. And I'll even tell them like, can I do this alone? I need to prove to myself that I can do this alone. Absolutely, Jess, no problem. If you need a hand, we're just right here. Like they don't leave me alone, but they're nearby, like they will go get me the parts or the tools that I need as I continue this job. And being nice to people, that is key. Because I realized that there's a lot, like men like to they're strong, they're firm about everything, right? And some of them like they want it done this way or no way. So what I like to do is so come in nice, ask questions. So if I feel like this is not the right way to do it, or if I feel unsafe to do it, I'll come in and I'll be like, hey, like, so what are we doing here? Is this the only way to do this job? Is there another way we can do it? And then I'll have a discussion with them, and then like I'll ask them to break it down. And they honestly they appreciate that. They appreciate that calm, gentle approach. Because like if you go up to anybody and just be like, no, I'm not doing it this way,
Hmm.
like it's not happening, they're not gonna like that. Nobody's gonna like that. So
For sure. That's a great approach. And it's like you remember your school days when you had a teacher that talked in a nice tone and asked you politely, Jessica, I know you can do better. So can you put a little bit more effort as opposed to the one that screamed at you. Like,
Exactly.
I remember the ones that used to get, they don't do that now and these days, is they had a meter ruler, and it was made out of wood, and they'd smack it on your desk, and you would jump. You literally jump out of your skin, right?
Yeah.
So we don't respond well to what you just said. If you ask someone with kindness, and I did the same thing. Listen, I don't know how to do this. Could you please show me? Can you please take a look while I'm performing the task and let me know, A, if I'm doing it safely, and B, is the quality there that we need to make the end product? And they were very reciprocal with that respect. I think one of the things, though, that males, especially when we're going in a male-dominated environment, is what you said. You don't want someone to come there, and especially a female, to start barking out orders. Okay, that would just close my mind off too. But you got to be serious.
Exactly.
Right? You got to wear, like, I when I'm in the shop, I'll wear my jeans, I'll wear my safety boots, my goggles, and I'm there. I'm like focused at the task at hand, because I convinced them over the years that I'm part of the team. I'm not going to let you down, because also in the back of their minds, they think about job security. Because if you walk in, Jessica, and you mess up something, and that section gets shut down, there's huge financial consequences for everybody. And that could mean, everyone losing their jobs, because maybe your employer lost the contract because they weren't able to deliver the goods that the client needed on time.
Yeah. So that does happen sometimes. But so, like we said before, failing is learning. It's part of the process. And that, thankfully, everybody understands that where I work. Because it's sometimes we receive like a pump, and it's not the same type of pump that was in place before, but we still have to replace it. Doesn't matter. So now it's like we have to figure out how to tie in this pump, because it's a different type, not as much feed, or not enough fluid is going through, not the same amount, right? So that's where we pull out prints. So we'll pull out prints and procedures, and we have planners on site as well. So if I'm not sure of what I'm doing to this pump, for example, I will go talk to my planner, and we will have a discussion about it. So sometimes we do have to go against the prints, because say, we don't have this type of material to make this type of gasket. So we have to find something similar. So by having discussions with the planners, and also having discussions with experienced millwrights, we come to a solution. But yes, sometimes not everything goes as planned either. So, but everybody understands that, and because I am new, they understand that I'm gonna mess up. It's part of the apprenticeship. It's part of the process. Nobody gets mad, and because we have so many people that work at our plant, it's not a huge deal if I break something, because night shift rotation will come in and take over the job, or they'll restart the job, do it properly. So like, I do get the chance to try for myself. If I succeed, perfect. If I don't succeed, it's not a big deal. We have other mechanics that are going to come in and correct what I did. Or
that's called learning experience, and that's fantastic. You have that. So what are some of the pros and cons of your career choice?
So pros would be definitely the wages. Like, wages, Because I chose to start my career at a young age, I was able to buy my first house at 20 years old, like on my own. So,
That's incredible, especially people that have been in university for 7 years going through masters and PhDs and they can't afford to buy a house. So congratulations. That is
thank
amazing. I
you.
love hearing that. So,
Thank
okay,
you.
what is a starting wage? Because now you really probably piqued a lot of ears and say, how has she got her own place? She doesn't live with her parents in the basement.
No, so the apprenticeship program, you start off at a base wage
Hmm.
and you slowly, every 6 months, you get a raise until you finish your apprenticeship. So when I started, I think I was making like $32 an hour plus bonus. I started off underground, so I was getting my monthly production bonus. Plus, we would be getting our, say, our quarterly nickel bonus if we made profits. Okay, so just right
That's
there.
great.
Oh, and like I had open overtime. So when I do
Mm,
overtime, I
that's so
get paid
good.
time and a half to do
Yeah.
the same thing that I was doing. Just I'm just there longer. So I would put in hours. I would work 13, sometimes even 16-hour shifts, like dedicated. And so you get that, and then you get to a surface plant. I lost my production bonus, but I still get nickel bonus if we make profit. So, but now I'm at the end of my apprenticeship. I think next month I'm considered graduated. So now I make the full millwright wage. I make the same amount as the licensed experienced millwrights make. So in that,
Which is drum roll.
so so I make about $44 an hour now. But
Yeah,
then we
wow.
have like our Vale contract. We have like a 5-year contract and we get a raise every year for 5 years. So when our contract's done, I'll be making around $47 an hour. So
That's great. Now, if you do overtime, do you still get time and a half?
yeah,
Yeah, because like a lot of people don't know what time and a half is. So when you were 20 years old and you're paying like $31 ish, time and a half is half of that plus your wage. So you were making 46.50.
exactly.
Like
Like
wow, 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 that is so amazing.
for example, on Remembrance Day, it was double time and a half. I
Oh, I
was
love
making like
that.
$106 an hour, and I'm scheduled for 12 hours. So
Woo!
it was a beautiful day.
Yeah. And see, people don't understand that, like, where you don't have that opportunity if you become like, okay, I was a teacher. Teachers are well paid. Okay, they
Mhm.
do make six figures, which is incredibly respectful. But if I want extra pay, then I would have to teach night school or I would have to do private tutoring, right? Some initiatives on my own. But when you are in a boom economy and you have all those extra hours, that's where you make your wealth. And proof in the pudding is my dad. My parents were immigrants. They came to Canada, only had an elementary school education. And one of the jobs my dad had later on in life after he stopped in construction was he worked at an aircraft company in Malton, so near the airport, near Pearson. It was called McDonnell Douglas Canada. It was an American subsidiary. There were 6,500 people working there, and they made wings for fighter crafts. It was just an amazing company, and I worked there in HR for a few summers. So my dad, when he started there, Ronald Reagan was the American president, and we were having the Cold War with Russia, Gorbachev, and it was escalating. It wasn't a nice time, just like we're going through similar times now. So the president thought it'd be good to build up the military, so he would order all these fighter crafts. And so this company here would be working 3 shifts, so 24/7. And my dad, at that time, and it was in the late 80s, early 90s, my dad was making $30 an hour, which was crazy. And that was his regular pay. So when he did double time, because he worked on Sundays, he was making $60.
Yes.
So my dad, the last few years of his working career, he made more money there than say 20 years in construction, because construction, it would go through slow times and fast times, because he was doing road work, and once the highways and the subways were built, there wasn't as many government contracts, so that's why he ended up going into the private sector. But like he just made a pile of money, and that kind of elevated our family from working poor class to upper middle class. And this is the point I want to reach out. Like, at 20 years old, you were a homeowner. So you've got incredible financial freedom, and the possibilities endless, because you can work as many hours as you want. Like, you can completely blow your brains out and work 60, 70 hours, because you're young. You probably don't have all the responsibilities of a family. So
Exactly.
when you rake it in, right?
Yes.
That's
exactly.
great. I love hearing that. I just love that. So yeah, you answered my question. Definite financial security. So one of the major societal pressures that young women face is that a university degree is a must in order to be successful. So based on your personal experiences, like, really, how true is that statement?
You don't need it. So yeah, okay, you can go down that university path and you could get a very good job with that, but it's not necessary. Like, I took a 2-year program in college and I got a college diploma, and as an apprentice, I'm making like, I have zero student debts because I was only there for 2 years, right? I was able to start racking up the money right out of college.
That's good.
And so I truly believe, like, there's also trade school that you can do where it's like you go to school for a couple months, then you go to work for a couple months, and then you go to school, like, and you end up graduating way quicker than even college, because you're getting both the best of both worlds. You get to read about it, then do it, learn about it, then do it, or see it, you know what I mean? But yeah, like, college, like, especially if you're taking like a trade, all the college programs, I want to say they're like 2 to 3 years, even for like chemical engineering technician. Like, at my college, it's a 3-year program, and I have a friend who did take that program, and now she's just a technician and she's making 6 figures already. We're the same age. We're 24 years old. Like,
That's wonderful.
I think university is a bit overrated, but it's not a bad option either. I just don't think it's absolutely necessary to be successful. It depends on what you think success is. Like, I think that me and my friend are successful, you know what I mean? We're doing everything that's a grown adult.
Well, you're happy, right? That's the first thing. You look forward to going to work. You've got financial independence. You have a secure future. So there's so many pros that you'd consider it. Like, yeah, university is important. Like I said, everybody is important in the role that they see themselves good at. Because if you want to be a teacher, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you have to go to university. No ifs, ands, or but what I'm trying to promote is, especially for parents these days think that if their son or daughter doesn't go to university, that they failed as a parent. That, what are my neighbors gonna say? Maybe my kid isn't as smart as the neighbor's kid because they went off to university and got a degree. But that's not necessarily the case, because the work that you do, it really includes thinking and it's critical thinking skills, because like you said, every task is unique. You're going to be, a problem's going to come up. You don't have a book where you look up the solution. No, you got to think on the spot, because again, if the machinery breaks down or you've got a problem with the mining process, if you can't get everything to go, Yeah, it's time and money, and then they're going to look at you and say,
Oh
"Well,
yeah,
are you going to fix it or what?" It's
exactly.
incredible pressure.
And like the thing is too is that if something breaks, it's not always the same problem. It's not always the same issue. You need to learn how to troubleshoot. I troubleshoot all the time. Yeah, okay, it's the same pump or the same gearbox that's not working, but
Mhm.
it's different problems every
Yeah.
time, and you need to know how to diagnose that. Like, there's a lot of critical thinking. There's like math even that we got to do to figure out like gear ratios and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm glad
So
you brought that up because one of the myths that we break, that we're trying to change out with STEM, that women aren't good in math or, calculations or science. Yeah, we can do that. We can do it given the opportunity. So I'm glad you brought that up. I really enjoyed that. So at the beginning of the interview, we mentioned that you were an ambassador for KICKASS Careers. So, what are the key lessons you have learned that you believe could significantly benefit young women considering careers in non traditional fields like yourself?
being an ambassador for Kick-Ass Careers, I learned that it's very, very important to have confidence in yourself.
Mm.
Confidence is a major, major key. It's if you don't have confidence, you're not yourself, you're doubting yourself, and that's not what we want. So if I have a little girl that comes up to me and is like, I'm scared to do this, like I want to do it but I'm scared to do it, I assure them that you can do it and you will do it. Be strong, be willing to learn, willing to work, ask a lot of questions, and be confident. Like if you're going to do a job, I want you to actually give it all you got. Um, and and as as time goes by, the more events I do, the more speeches or podcasts, the more children I see. Because we also help out, me and Kendra help out with Skills Ontario
Mm.
every once in a while, where we do take like a group of students and we help them build like tiny, like little robots or whatever. But,
That's cool.
and it's when they start to get frustrated because they don't understand. It's like, it's
Mm.
okay. Like, we'll figure it out together. And then they get it and they're happy and confident. And I want to do it again. I'm going to help out this girl. So it's to show them that, yes, it is stressful at first, but you'll get there.
Mm.
You have to have confidence in yourself. Um, you know, Sharing my journey, giving them an idea of what I did to get to where I am, maybe they can follow in that same path to get to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always there to ask or to answer questions, like any question. I will be glad to answer for them. I like to show the children that, well, explain the pros and cons of my career, like the mining industry is what I
Mm-hmm.
usually focus on. Um, but it's just to be that person for them to look up to, that ambassador. You got to take over. You got to be proud and excited for it to get them to really think like, oh, well, she seems very happy. Maybe I'll be just as happy as well.
That's right. And I share that sentiment too. So, Jessica, as we wrap up, I want to say thank you for coming on the show to share your story and your insights. For our listeners who want to connect and learn more about you or have any questions regarding your career as an industrial millwright, where can they find you?
So I run an Instagram page with my partner Kendra. We're both millwrights. It's millwright-ish underscore chicks on Instagram. So that's where we post pictures of what we do. events that we go to, and people even reach out to us on our page as well. So like we'll be answering questions. We'll even meet up with some students as well. I've met up with adults that are thinking of taking the trade path. So on that page, you will find everything you should need to pursue your dream.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Only Women Entrepreneurs is focused on supporting and educating women on their entrepreneurial and alternative career journeys. Learn more about us and our free resources at onlywomenentrepreneurs.com for content tailored specifically for women navigating the business world. Book your free consultation with me today, and make sure you hit subscribe, share with others, and give us a like so that we can grow our community. Follow us on social media. Just look for Only Women Entrepreneurs to connect, and be sure to reach out to me where I personally read and reply to all your messages. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I look forward to being with you for our next episode. Thanks again, Jessica, for your time.
Thank you so much.